Hey guys, it's Kelsey, and I am here with another scrapbooking process video, and I was inspired by this layout here, which is Chamel, and so I just decided I was going to scrap lift her. I really liked the way she did her layering, and I also thought that I could replicate this form of layering with my 6x8 paper pad. So I am once again using Pink Paisley's Auburn Lane, right? Is that this one? I all of a sudden just brain farted and can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. And I am just going to start out by trying to get the main papers I want to use during this process video pulled out, which is a lot of these florals, a lot of these pinks and maroons with a couple pops of black and white. I have this really pretty pink wood grain plank background that I decided to use. I don't know where it came from, but it was in my stash of just single pieces of paper. I have quite a collection of just random wood grains because I can't help myself when I see them, and I know I'll use them eventually. So this was another one of those random pink wood grains that I thought was beautiful and that I would eventually use, and it goes really well with this collection. So I'm starting out by matting my photo with some simple just white cardstock. I did trim it down a little bit because there's a lot of excess room at the bottom of that photo. This is my second of my COVID documenting pages. I only did two. I really just documented how work is with COVID and then how church is with COVID. I really didn't want to dwell too much on it, and it really didn't affect me other than those two things. So I just figured I would document it, but I really want to do it in a more positive way and focus on the good things that came from it. So you can see this photo. Our priest is walking down the aisle. Once COVID first hit, we went strictly to online masses where we could watch live streams. But it was really weird for our priest to not be able to see us while he was talking. So what he decided to do was print out all of our pictures that we sent him, and he taped them to all of the chairs in the audience so he could look at us while he was talking. So I thought that was really sweet. So I just took a screen grab from one of the live masses and printed it out so I could document that, just because I thought that was really special, and it was like, oh, sweet. We found where our photo was in the chairs, and then we're kind of like, oh, look, there we are. But I'm starting out by trying to get the stripes that are at the top and bottom of this page. Since I am using a paper pad, I obviously didn't have a 12-inch strip, but this is a really good way to use the stripes that come in different collections because it's easier to make it look like it's a longer strip than it is if you can line up the stripes. So that's all I'm trying to do here, is make sure I line them up so it looks like it'll be one piece by the end. So I'm just doing this thicker strip at the top and a skinnier strip at the bottom. I'm inking everything in black. I thought because I am pulling in black on this page, even though there are browns and warmer tones in this collection, I just decided I would try black. I know I've been inking a lot in brown, but yeah, I just decided to do black on this one. So I'm going through and just inking all the pieces. And then I'll start layering up. But I really love what Chamel did with her layers. She just had a bunch of big layers behind the photo. She had a couple things branching out from the photo to the left and below the photo, and then she had a little cluster at the bottom of the page. So I really like how that looked layer wise, but also everything was very balanced, and there was a lot of room to layer up embellishment, but still not look crowded, but still look very interesting. So she typically does that, which is why I'm really drawn to her style. I've been watching, I know I've said this in a couple process videos, but I've really been watching a lot of her videos lately, so I've been inspired to scrap lift quite a few of her projects. But I'm gonna start out by matting this photo on this floral. I really liked that you had this multicolor floral right next to the photo. And because there's a lot of colors in the photo with all the different pictures, I just thought it looked nice. And then from there, I'm pretty much just going to be using more of the solid papers to branch out from there so it doesn't end up looking too busy. I do want to use this black and white houndstooth, which is a super busy pattern, but I liked that it was black and white, so it kind of was a nod to the black and white stripe I already have on a page, but I just wanted a little border of it, and I didn't even want it to go all over around the photo. I just wanted it to be an offset mat of a little bit of that pattern just to add some layery goodness. So I'm inking that, and then you'll see I kind of offset that mat. I really like when Chamel does this. It just adds to the layeriness of it. And then I'm going to use a bigger chunk of this maroon floral. I love this maroon floral. It has some copper foiling on it, and I thought because it is a more subtle pattern and but it's still a rich color. I wanted a larger chunk of that. So I'm going to make sure that matte does go all the way around and that there's more of it showing. So I really like to do that when I offset some of these skinnier offset mattes with some thicker ones that go all the way around like this. And I like the tone that maroon really adds to the rest of the page. So there's that one. I definitely want to layer up a little more, so I think I'm going to go in with a pink. And I'm thinking about using this one because it's a softer, more medium pink, but it also has that copper foiling on it, so I really wanted to accentuate that as well. I love how copper foiling looks, and you really don't see it all that often, so I wanted to use it where I could on this page as my little pop of metallic. But for this one, I decided to just stack this matte top and bottom. I only had a strip of it left, so I didn't have enough to make it look like a matte, but I had enough where I could trim it into 2 pieces and have it sticking out of the top and bottom of this photo, and maybe hopefully appear like it's a larger piece that just lays behind all of those layers. So there is pretty much my paper layering. I want to add a little bit more texture before I start branching out into embellishments. So I do have this black and white butterfly washi. I've mentioned it before. Butterflies signify a lot of different things to me, and I think they are symbols for other people for a lot of different things. But one of those things for me is spirituality. So I feel like having butterflies on a page about church is appropriate. So I'm just taking, I'm tearing the edge of them just so it adds a really nice texture. But I'm going to tuck it up under these black and white border strips, and I really like how that adds some detail. And I love that it's translucent, so you can kind of see the pink wood grain behind the washi as well. But I think that's a really nice transition to this bolder black and white stripe onto this pink wood grain plank. So I'm just going to do that on the bottom here as well, just so that texture and that pattern is balanced. And then I think I will start embellishing. And I actually have a good bit of embellishment for this collection. I don't have any 12 by 12s from this collection, but I have the 6 by 8 paper pad. I have some stickers, some puffy stickers. I have some enamel shapes and sequins, and there were a bunch of cut aparts in that pad too that I have to use. So I'm going to try and pile on a good bit in this collection because I am really trying to stash bust these paper pads, and I don't want a whole ton of embellishment left over by the end because I'm focusing more on the paper. So I'm trying to lay out everything that I have, but yeah, I definitely want to get some of these die cuts on here as well as some of the cut aparts that I kind of mixed in with those. So I'm just laying out everything that's kind of in the color scheme, and then because I use this multicolor floral around the photo, I'm thinking I want to pull in a bunch of different things that have that same floral pattern from the die cut pack. But right away I saw this one little pink house that says "Let's gather together." I thought that was really sweet. One of the things I wanted to journal about and document during church during this time was, even though we couldn't go to church, it was just, I don't know, it was really touching that nothing's going to stop us from getting together online at least and still participating. Like, no, it didn't stop anybody from still being able to gather together to celebrate church. So that's something I really want to draw out in this page through the journaling and through different symbolism and what I decide to use. This collection is very much, it's a fall collection, but it was very much like you could use it for Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of thank yous and gratefuls and that kind of sentiments in this collection. So I thought this was a really good way to get a lot of that kind of stuff used up. Because I know going to church is a lifeline for a lot of people to keep them sane when things get difficult. So this is the first time ever where that was kind of more restrictive, and so I thought it was important to make sure to note that, like, hey, we still had this, even though it looked a little different. And just having this photo where Father Mark had put all of our pictures on the chair and had taken the time to do that, I just thought it was such a sweet moment that I needed to capture. So I'm going through, I laid out a bunch of these die cuts. I'm trying to pull in a bunch of pieces that have that copper foiling because, again, I'm trying to emphasize that metallic. But again, you can see that floral that's in that one layer popping up in a lot of these ephemera bits. So I'm stacking a couple things underneath the photo, kind of how Chamel had some. And then I really wanted to use this frame that had that nice copper corner on it. So I figured I'd layer that up behind this little house that said, "Let's gather together." So I'm kind of just working on layering bits and pieces. I love this little corner I have going on at the bottom as well. Lots of pinks and, again, more copper foil and repeating with the house motif. And it just says thank you, and then my heart is full, and I really like how all of that looks together too. And I am going to pop up that thank you on some foam too, so that has a little bit of dimension. But again, just inking everything and trying to not forget anything while I'm inking. But yeah, I like how that all looks layered together. So these are pretty much the bases for my embellishment clusters, and then I'll go in and add a couple more things. I definitely want a title on here, and I'm thinking my title will be next to this bottom cluster running along that lower horizontal line. But I want some journaling as well, so I'm kind of thinking I'll do what Shamel did and journal underneath this love sentiment below the photo and just have my journaling going down to the bottom of the page. So that's what I'm thinking as far as laying out the rest of this page. I just wanted to get these things started to get glued down because I really like how they're looking. I think that's really cute. And then again, just going through any ephemera bits over there that I can use. On this sticker sheet, there was another copper foiled bit that says gathered together with grateful hearts. And again, we're all gathered together even though it's not in person, so I wanted to get that sticker on there too, so I popped that up on the photo for a little bit of interest. And then there's a bunch of these floral bouquets in the die cut pack, and I really didn't know how I would use them as bouquets, but then I realized I could just tuck the bouquet part underneath the photo and just have the florals showing, and it looked like a really cute piece peeking out of a corner or something. So I got a couple of those tucked in on this layout as well. And then I decided to just say, title this online. That way everything kind of reads together. It's let's gather together with grateful hearts, all of this kind of stuff, but then the title is online. We're doing this all online. And thankfully we're all back at church now. But yeah, for the initial part of COVID, this is what it looks like. So that's definitely why I wanted to document this online portion. So I got my title down. I just used a 0 as an O because I was out of O's, and since the O was the first letter of the title, I figured it would look capitalized anyways. So that's all I did with that thicker sheet. And then again, just adding a couple more ephemera bits. There's a little copper ampersand in my embellishment that I decided I would add to one of my clusters just because the thank yous popped up on some foam and I wanted something else in another cluster popped up on some foam. And then I think I found a little heart die cut to add to one of the clusters, and then there's numbers on another sticker sheet, so I decided to add the date with them as well. So you'll see that right there. I'm trying to figure out where I want them. But I'm going to ink even those tiny little numbers too because I think it's a nice little effect. But I end up moving them up here to the love because I decided to journal underneath the love and I didn't want this date sticker in the way. But I'm glad I got the date documented too. So this was April 8th of this year. So there we go. I think this is the ampersand that I thought I already did, but that's going to go up in the left-hand cluster. And I think that adds another little pop of copper and a little bit of dimension. So I think that looks really cute. But I'm almost done here. I know I want to add some more embellishment. I haven't touched this little embellishment pack to the left here with the epoxy and the sequins and stuff, so I'll get to that as my finishing touch. But I am going to go ahead and do my journaling. It just says churches were temporarily shut down due to the coronavirus, but that would never stop us from going to Mass, so we switched online. Once we learned more about the virus, we were right back to church with either outdoor Mass or socially distanced chairs while we were online only. However, Father Mark taped all of our pictures to the seats so he could see us while he gave the live stream Masses. So I just wanted to get all of that logged down. This is actually at my mom's church. We have like sister churches. Her church split off of my church because we got too large. While we were already home, I ended up watching a lot of his Masses because I really love Father Mark. I probably would end up going to her church if it was closer to me. But while we were online anyways, then it wasn't really any harder for me to watch their live stream versus my church's live stream. So that's what I ended up doing. But then I decided for my finishing touch I would dig into these little epoxy shapes. There's a couple black ones that I decided I would just cluster instead of doing my Nuvo drops like I've been doing lately. And I think that adds a nice texture and a little bit of dimension as well. But I think that's pretty much it. Here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.